Good morning. Hi guys. Today I would like to share. I hope this video is clear because I'm not feeling well and I don't want to wake up and record it very well. But I would like to share about grief. One thing in life that has wounded me more than anything else is grief. It changed my life. It took a lot from me. So if there's someone who can learn from my grief journey and my healing journey, which took too long, they must learn, please. I lost my father in 2016. It was very painful. When he was in ICU, I was falling apart. That pain, I could handle it because I had a mother whom I assumed that maybe I needed to be strong for. I don't know, guys. In 2019, I was overseas in another country when I lost my mother. I shared a video about how painful it was to arrive just before the funeral and to leave immediately after the funeral. I'm not happy with this video, but it's fine. And in 2022, I lost my brother through suicide. In June 2022, it's very recent. The wound is still fresh, and I've noticed that because I assume the role of the protector and I love my family so much. I protect my family to an extent that if God didn't help me, you touch my family and you will end up in hospital. That's how protective I am of my family. It is because we have been through a lot. People thought they have a right of hurting us, hurting my parents, and I grew up experiencing abuse from my mother's in-laws, and I assumed the role of the protector. I didn't only take the role um of suffering black tax. I protected my family in all ways: my finances, my strength, my mouth, and my prayers. So I'm that kind. In Xhosa, we call it Undombe Kaya. I'm the protector. But while I'm protecting my family, I always relied on the strength of my parents, especially my mother, because she was a very strong and prayerful woman, a woman who prayed for us. So when we didn't have parents, it became our role to protect one another, which is a role that I took seriously. So when I lost a mother, the grief journey changed my life, which is a story for another day. But I would like to talk about the suicide that my brother committed recently. I owe it to him to keep his name going. I owe it to him to rectify things, because people had their theories on how he died because drugs were involved. I would like to say to people, drugs are not okay. And I would like to protect the future generations from the impact of drugs, the future youth, the future families from the impact of drugs. My brother's story started this way. He was my father's last born, and he was loved by my father. May their souls rest in peace. So Usia, my brother, used to run, next to my father when my father, who's a farmer, used to go and look after his livestock. So he transferred his skills to him and taught him how to be a man. sometimes he learned a lot, even more than my other brother who spent time in Cape Town. But Sia learned a lot from my father. So he was wise, and in future he was going to take over the roles that our father, you know, used to do, because he was born with women, and in an African culture, um, men assume the role of protecting women. And in terms of cultural issues, they think they are the ones who are supposed to perform cultural duties to those who uh, believe in culture and traditional practices. So when my father died, we as the family noticed changes in my brother because he lost a father. So we noticed the changes. He was vulnerable. And what I've learned about grief is we deal with grief differently. And as someone who's very sensitive to grief, whose life has been changed by grief, I've learned that you end up stopping talking to people because you feel like they don't understand your pain. And some people would give you an attitude which says, get over it, get over it. And you don't want to get over it. You need to go through it and deal with it. So we noticed the changes, but they were manageable. Maybe because we had a mother, maybe because we thought he was a teenager, that these things would pass. The real changes that that for me I really noticed was after my mother passed on. I feel like because my mother was there, we didn't take note of some of the other things because she handled them. Gone that they had direct impact, affected us. I will talk about my journey because I'm sharing this story to help people in grief. And in future, I so wish we can have a grief support group where we talk about how grief uh, ravishes us, how grief breaks us, how grief wounds us. With COVID-19, people have lost a lot of people that they love. They've lost a lot, And with me, I haven't lost someone during COVID-19, someone close. Okay, I've lost a friend, but not the way it hurts to lose a friend. I don't want to lie, but not the way it hurts to lose a family member. So I'm going to start at how I noticed the real changes that led to my brother's death. So after my mother's funeral, as broken as I was, I thought of my brother because he was the last born. I went to him. I wanted to talk to him. In fact, initially, I asked them if they needed counseling. I asked all the male children at home, the guys, because I know how males are introverts, how they keep pain. They don't cry like us. We cry so that we heal. Our tears, are a part of healing. They massage the soul so that we heal. So when I was leaving him, I was about to leave and go back to Scotland because when my mother left, I was in the middle of my master's degree. As a result, my master's degree was dedicated to my mother in memory of her because she left me in the middle of my studies. And when I carried on, I felt like she would have said, go on, go and finish those studies, go and finish what you started. So before I left, I went to talk to my brother. I asked him how he was doing, but before I could finish, I broke down. What he did, instead of crying with me or being vulnerable, he talked to me. He said, "Ungavumi, everything will be all right." As I continue with the story, I just needed to take a break and come back. Okay, so after my brother after my mother passed on. So my brother was vulnerable, he was depressed, and he went to drugs. He went and started to abuse drugs. For me, what hurts the most is the fact that while he was going through grief, our boy children, to them, they love family so much to an extent that they don't know the dangers of associating yourself with a family that hates you. Unfortunately for us, we are born into a family that hates one another. I mean, siblings that hate one another, that do not want to see each other progressing. I became a source of a topic. I became a topic ever since I graduated to my father's siblings, because they felt that ever since my ever since I graduated, ne, and became a professional, we became proud. Now, as a person, I don't entertain this issue of pride. I hate it so much to be accused of being proud, but I've learned that when you believe something about me, when you decide to label me, there's nothing I can do to change your perception about me. So I can't stop you from saying bad things about me. I can't stop you from labeling me. I can't stop you from spreading bad rumors about me. But the only thing I can control is my reaction and attitude to what you are doing, or to the things that you are saying. That I've practiced it, and I'm doing very well in controlling my attitude. It is the umbrella that I wear for the protection of myself. So you're allowed to say everything, because I believe that for every curse that you say towards me, I get blessed. So I'm happy when people say negative things about me. I'm happy when people curse me, because I'm attracting blessings. I am who God says I am, not what you think I am. Going back to the story. So I've got brothers who worship family, the extended family, but the same extended family has issues, the issues that we were born into. In my book, I've spoken about how my sister's arm was broken by a relative because she laughed at her dog's vomiters. These are the things that has nothing to do with me working. I've shared about how my mother was persecuted by their in-laws, accusing her of witchcraft, something that she never did. But in African culture, I've realized that when people want to fight you, they accuse you of witchcraft and you're older than your men, all those stupid things, just to support their negativities, just to support lentio yabo. But in my understanding, it stems from sibling rivalry. When siblings start to stop protecting one another, and then they decide to hate one another, they spread hate. That hate, it moves from generation to generation, and it affects children. So that was what we were born into, but unfortunately it divided the family, and it has spread from generation to generation. So my brother was amongst that, but unfortunately he was trusting and was in love of the extended family. My brother was introduced to drugs by a family member, the extended family member, and after he introduced him to drugs, he was chasing him at night in that location, demanding the money for drugs. This has come to my attention when I went home, and I called him and I asked him, because he's older and he's a relative, and I asked him, why did you introduce my brother to drugs? And I also have a niece who was introduced to drugs by the extended family member again. It is this trust that these children give to these hateful family members. That is why I talk about hate. He called him and I asked him, why did you introduce my brother to drugs? And he said, I wanted to make him happy. He was depressed. And I said, by giving him drugs. And now he's addicted. We were forced to pay the money for the drugs to end the conflict that this guy started. We paid the money and we asked my brother not to take his drugs again. And we also asked him not to give my brother drugs again. Then I left. So my brother had a drug problem and was introduced by an extended family member to drugs. These family members who joined and became part of the conflict, which I can source to sibling rivalry amongst our parents and our fathers, and the hate has spread and it's out of control. We are just hating and we don't know why you are hating. We are continuing to hate. We are continuing and we don't even know the source, where and how it started. Everybody blames one another. It was started when Nosipiwe became a graduate and she started to be proud. Then we hate her, something like that. All those pieces, that nonsense. And for me, the issue of me graduating and my education is very serious because I've worked so hard to be who I am. I worked while I studied. So if you think I'm proud because I'm educated, just take the step ladder and follow me. We're not going to argue on that. So, continuing to the issue of my brother, he got addicted. And what I noticed, when he got addicted to drugs, he had anger issues. By nature, he's very sweet. I used to be accused of having a soft spot to him because by nature, he's sweet and loving. Sia was sweet, humble, respectful, and loving. But the day he started to use drugs, I saw aggression. Another thing that I noticed when he was on drugs was the fact that he would lose his mind. He won't know what he's doing. We know the relationship between drugs and mental illness. Some people have become bipolar after using tech because these drugs are very poisonous. So I would notice that he can walk the whole night, and he had these episodes of paranoia and being scared, claiming that this guy who's a relative wanted to kill him. He's chasing him by a knife or by a spear, whatever. This continued. Again, because he loves his family so much, the extended family now more than us, they kept on hurting him, but he kept on going to them. He later revealed to us that the source, I always wonder that these family members, whose extended family, where does he get drugs? He later revealed that the source was a family member, a close family member who was working, and he was busy supplying these children with drugs, killing them, and then driving a car pretending to have money, but the money of the blood and drugs. So while my brother had those aggressive episodes, there are two things that happened. There's a man who has a farm closer to my home. My father died because of hurt, from being hurt by that man, because he kept on going to my home and causing conflict, saying that my father's cows were eating in his farm. But my father kept on saying, put a fence so that my cows do not go there to your farm. He never put a fence. One day he took my father to court, but even the court, the rural courts or civil courts, the court also ruled that he must put the wire, but he never put the wire. We never allowed him to come to my father's funeral because he persecuted my father because of those cows. With him and Usia, this man continued. This conflict, he started with my father, but with Usia, he continued. The Sia, who's not having an issue of drugs, used to run when this man starts shouting. He's very cruel. He's a very cruel, bitter old man. When we were young, he used to chase us just for eating the fruits from the trees in that farm. Children, he was like that. So The Sia that I know who doesn't have a drug problem used to run away from him, but the Sia who had a drug problem, the day this man attacked him, he fought back. And unfortunately, he harmed him because he went to hospital because Sia was young, my brother, and this man was an old man, but he provoked him. He knows deep down in his heart that he provoked him, and I hope he's happy now that Sia is dead, because he started this while my father was still alive. To continue, in Easter 2021, yes, in Easter 2021, I was woken up by a call that said Sia has killed a person, a family member. Until today, we don't know what happened. But the family, the extended family, decided that it was Sia that killed that young man. May his soul rest in peace, that young man. We don't know what happened. All the drug users were there. We were not there because we don't use drugs. The family members who were spreading rumors about Usia were not there. Sasingekho sonke, asityi drugs. We were sleeping, we were adults. But my extended family spread rumors that it was Sia who killed that young man. It might happen that it was not Sia. It was one of them. We never know. We were not there. All that I know is that Sia was isolated. Sia was vilified. Sia was called names in the whole location, the location that he loved and protected, by the family that he loved and protected, by something we all do not have a proof of. Sia was arrested and his t-shirt was taken. His t-shirt had blood because he fought that same day. So if he killed a person, there would be blood in his t-shirt. I'm not going to say fortunately or unfortunately, but Sia, between me and you who's listening and anybody who's interested in this, he was acquitted from the murder charges by the court of law. The court said he was clean. He didn't kill that young man. I don't know if the family, the extended family members are spreading that he was acquitted. He was free. One thing that took Sia to jail was the assault of this old man who had a farm. Lotata wayene a farmer who started conflict with my father. And Usia fought back when he was high. He was not himself. He had mental problems. I'm not defending him. I'm not defending his behavior. I will never defend his behavior of fighting an older man. But I blame drugs. But this older man would have left this alone and we would all be in peace today. So Sia was sent to jail for assault of this man. He stayed in jail for 3 months. I don't know what happened in that jail. All I know is that 3 days after he came back from jail, he was set free. He stayed for only 3 months and he was set free because they said he was not the type of jail. We're checking him in jail and he used to say he was okay, he was happy. There were people inside who were protecting him, people that he knows and people that we knew. We don't know what happened, but 3 days when he came back from jail, he took his life. We might never know the reason for taking his life. I blame mental illness because people who use drugs have issues of mental illness. I blame depression. I blame evil forces because some people believed he was a murderer but had no proof. They vilified him with no proof. I also blame the family conflict. This family
the extended family has taken so much from us. It might happen that Sia was a target to destroy my family. Hence the supply of drugs that were targeting him, so that he takes and he steals from us, so that he disturbs the peace of the family. It was the part of this conflict that we all know nothing about. I don't know. But also, it might be the gangster paybacks. Maybe there was an assignment that they were giving him, because though there were people in prison who were there for 13 years, 14 years, 15 years, and they knew that Usia is not going to stay in prison. He's going to stay for only 3 months because it's assault. Maybe they were sending him an assignment, and maybe they were threatening our lives. And then he decided to take his life instead of doing evil. One thing that hurt me the most was that I spoke to him that night. He took his life, and I talked about the future, how I was going to help him to take back his life, to recover, and be the young man he was destined to be. It has not been easy. This could have been prevented. To the family who have family members who are on drugs, come, let us talk about it. Maybe we can save someone. My brother died, and we will never know, but we can stop it from happening. God bless you.